I think I was kind of in this mode, Wendy, of like when this happens, then my life can start. Like when I meet a great guy, then my life will begin. When we get double incomes, then I can buy a house. Yeah, there was just so many like when I's, no matter what the goal is, whether it's finances or health or faith or love, to just, for me, I needed to learn how to show up badly and to let myself be a learner and to be bad at something for a while because we're not going to automatically show up as like this hot, confident person. We're not going to automatically show up as, like overnight be able to afford a house or a new car or the things that we want in life.
Jen, it's so great to connect with you. Thanks for jumping on.
Yes. Thanks for having me, Wendy. I'm so excited.
I know. I feel like we could actually be in each other's living rooms right now, but
Right. I know. It's so true.
thanks to technology.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to share with others just the journey that you have been on. And I definitely want to get to this exciting announcement here in a little bit. But why don't we start with just sharing a little bit more about who you are? Who is Jen? Where do you call home? Where are you from? Whatever you want to share.
Sure. Yeah. All my deepest, darkest secrets. No, my name is Jen Carlson and I am originally from Minnesota, but I moved to Denver 12 years ago. And I am a licensed esthetician, a skincare sales rep, and that's kind of my day job. I always say saving lives one wrinkle at a time. And then, yeah, new author. Yeah, exactly. And then, yeah, a new author and writer as well.
Oh, I love it. Well, I'm so eager to dive into a handful of questions that will eventually lead to this big announcement. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Jen before this dating challenge that we're going to talk about?
Yeah. So at about 33 years old, I had started a dating competition with my sister that started kind of as a joke, but gosh, I will start with who I was before. And that was just, I kind of jokingly say I was like that solo Friday night girl, like sometimes out with my girlfriends, but otherwise like solo Friday nights, rom-coms. Ben and Jerry's were my best friends after a long week of work, and yeah, I was a regional spa trainer traveling 8 states, and so I was traveling a lot for work, and so that also led to me just like eating out a lot and just kind of living this just survival mode, I guess, was kind of my life. And yeah, I mean, I had great community and great friendships, but it was just like single girl Jen all the way. Like I was carrying a lot of student loans and just, I think I was kind of in this mode, Wendy, of like when this happens, then my life can start. Like when I meet a great guy, then my life will begin. When we get double incomes, then I can buy a house. Yeah, there was just so many like when I's, and I kept kind of, that was the mode I was living in before this dating challenge, is kind of a dreamer mindset, like a fantasy world, like what my life could be like someday. And I wasn't really thinking practically about what the present could look like. I was just kind of dreaming about the what ifs or like if onlys.
Wow. Wow. I feel like so many of us can relate to just that forward thinking of, because it's so easy to do, to imagine what life would look like. But then so many of us can also relate to the challenges of adulthood with bills and too many of them, and paying down student loan and seeking new like career heights and goals. But when it comes to singleness, dating or not dating,
Right.
it kind of feels like the only way to date is online.
Right. Right.
So,
Yeah.
well, I'm here to tell you guys, those that are listening, tuning in, dating online is not the only way. And I'm so glad that Jen is on the show this week. And I want her to share a little bit more about this journey that she took to getting unstuck.
Yes.
Not just in dating life, but in so many other areas, from finances to health. So we referenced this thing called a dating challenge, and you mentioned your sister. How did all of this begin?
Yeah, totally. I know, a dating challenge. And whenever I say it was kind of this challenge slash competition. I mean, we were kind of competing against ourselves in a lot of ways, but also against each other, which is maybe something only sisters can do. You know, you can like be the worst enemies and the best friends all in the same day. But my sister was living in Idaho and I was here in Denver. And there was just this night, Wendy, where we had like this total wake up call. Like, I won't get into the details. I'll leave some of that for the book, but there was one night where she was 29, I was 33, and we were like, we are literally both laying on the couch. It's Friday night. I had just gotten off of driving probation due to like too many, like, I mean, it was so silly. It was like driving probation based off of like too many tickets that I had gotten in a short amount of time. It
Oh
was so
no.
embarrassing. And so I was just like living my worst single life. Like I said, stuck in finances, in my health, in my faith, and in dating. And I was like, something's got to change. I think I was like living so many years waiting and trusting and praying, but I was lacking the action step. And so my sister and I we're kind of goofy anyways. And so one night we were kind of joking, like, what if we started a dating competition? And so that's how it all got started, is just this one Friday night where we're both like super stuck. She's playing Candy Crush, eating Girl Scout cookies, and I'm, watching rom-coms. And so we just started dreaming, like, what is the type of single woman we feel like we are meant to be right now at this stage of our lives, with or without a guy. And part of that was just we were lacking confidence. We were lacking action. We were lacking some motivation. And so we just kind of, as a joke, started this dream. And so we would get together like once a week on Zoom and just started planning. We took maybe about a month to really strategize, like, what do we want to change? And so some of those categories were just like building our confidence with striking up conversation with single guys, like in the supermarket, at Target, at church, and also just ramping up online dating too. And like any single girl or guy knows what, like what the drama can be with online dating or how discouraging it can be. And so we just kind of flipped the script and we're like, okay, what if we stopped focusing on like finding that dream person and just
Yeah.
started focusing on like how can we become more confident as singles? How can we start to like eliminate these areas of our lives that were so stuck? Like for me, it
Mhm.
was my debt. For both of us, it was our health. For yeah, and just grow closer to God along the way. Like God created us to have purpose, whether we're single or married or dating or whatever stage we're in. And so that's where the competition started. We had a detailed point system, we had strategy, and we were like 6 months, it's go time. And then kind of as a joke and for fun, we added this $100 spa gift card that was like, okay, whoever wins this competition has to pay the other person this $100. And so it just kind of puts a fun spin on it. And we would meet every single week for 6 months on our strategy, encouraging each other, and just really like pushing each other to be better singles and also better daters.
Wow. Wow. What a creative way just to improve, like what you were saying, like how do we live and thrive and do well as a single person? Because being single isn't our identity. It's
Right.
how do we thrive, and the places between is all about like how do we
Yes.
learn to thrive in the middle of life as we're waiting for big
Hmm.
things, for career changes, for relationship changes. Some people are in
Yep.
the transition process of going from like just marriage to having kids, and that's a
Right.
huge transition. And
Hmm.
then from kids to kids out of the house, like what does
Yes.
that look like? And so, by the way, if you guys haven't caught on by now, a huge congratulations to you, Jen. Your book, it's called Do These Sweatpants Make Me Look Single, which is
Yes. Can I
so
show it,
clever.
Wendy?
Oh, you have one in your hand. I love
Yeah.
it. Such a funny, clever title.
Hmm.
For listeners that are just tuning in and not able to see it, she just showed the book in physical form. It's such a humorous yet super detailed account of the dating challenge that Jen just talked about. And You have a printed book. You're an author. That's
Yes.
amazing.
Thank
So,
you. Yeah.
congrats. I love it.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a dream for a long time and just a story that was too good not to share and too transformative not to yeah, to just share with others too
Yeah.
and encourage others. I mean, as singles, we kind of have to like link arms together, I say, and just really like, yeah, kind of take dating. There's so much humor in dating and there's so much heartache in dating. And so, how do you blend the two together? Because it really is both.
Yeah. Yeah, so true. Okay, well let's give the spoiler alert. When you and I had connected back last fall, you had this wonderful elevator pitch
Yeah.
in a tagline. Tell us about the book.
Yeah. So, a little bit about the book. So, my tagline for the book is my 1 year quest to level up in health, faith, money, and love. And so, those are really the four categories that I was out to transform and out to just, yeah, kind of like I said, flip the script on and stop waiting and just take action on. I mean, yeah, I don't want to give too many spoiler alerts away, but I guess I will give a few in the course of this. So, really, it was a 1 year quest, but there is a specific 6 months that the book is really about. And during that 6 months, I'll kind of lump my sister and I together. But our success between the two of us in those 6 months, we both lost over 60 pounds between the two of us. We both
Wow.
I personally paid off over $20,000 in debt through, like, I mean, really, there was no mathematical, this was kind of God's, like, yeah, just God's help doing it. And, uh, and then we went on over 60 dates in 6 months between the two of us. Yeah, God showed up in amazing ways that I kind of drop in the book as well. Just, he is, he's real and he wants to help us in these areas of our lives that we want to change. And so,
Wow.
so I definitely grew closer to him as well. And
I
so,
love
yeah,
it.
that's some of the spoiler alerts. I won't give all the details away, but there are some, yeah, just exciting things that happen for both of us in our love lives by the end of the book, too. So,
Absolutely. And you guys, I already had the privilege and honor of reading it. So it is definitely one of those fun reads that you don't want to put down. I stayed up late too many times just being like, oh, I have to finish this chapter. But all just over the course of the year, you outline it's so many amazing things. I just think about people that might be listening right now going, oh my gosh, how did you do it? Like, I
yeah,
want that many dates. Or there's a chance that you might not be single, but you really want to lose some extra weight or you want
yeah,
to pay off debt. Perhaps you're interested in a dating challenge like what Jen does, and she can give you insight and wisdom there. But wherever you're at, don't tune out now. I believe that what Jen is about to share coming up in the next little bit of time, it'll be imparted to you in our conversation. And if you're happily married, if you've dated before in the last like 20 years, this
right.
is a book worth reading. It's full of fun stories and you can laugh and cry along the way. And I want to encourage you all to grab a copy. So I will for sure tag the links in the show notes. So make sure you go there. Let's talk a little bit more about the competition. So it
Yep.
was you and your sister. You
Hmm.
got points for various things you had said.
Hmm.
What kind of points were involved? Like,
Right. Yeah. So we had four categories that we really, I mean, like I said, we were crazy strategic with this. And one influential book that we both had read before we created our point system was Dr. Henry Cloud's How to Get a Date Worth Keeping. It came out years ago, but I felt like he's a Christian psychologist. He just had some really good insights on, like, as Christians, stop waiting around, like, just get out there and start meeting people. And like, he really helped kind of motivate us as well. So we took it from there. And our very first category was called Meet Men. We would get points for just striking up conversation with guys in
wow.
and giving him enough information that they could contact us if they were interested. And so these guys, we would meet them in the grocery store. Like I said, at Target, we would join, like, I mean, my sister would be at like the lumber yard for who knows what. I think honestly just to meet guys. And so we would just it was just our goal, and part of it was just really growing our confidence because neither of us we had both dated before, but we had really limited ourselves. I had limited myself to online dating, and my sister had just limited herself to like luck. Like if she happens to meet somebody who was a great fit, then that was kind of her strategy. And so we both were a little bit stuck. So meet men was our first category. Dates were our second category. So we would get points for going on dates and really eliminating the mindset of like finding the right guy to go on a date with, but really just like, hey, let's try going out with a variety of men because a lot of people advise, a lot of people share like, oh my gosh, the person I married was never who I even imagined, or sometimes it's not even about finding the right person. It's just about like practicing being a winsome, playful, wise, fun person to date. And we both needed help with that as well. And then our third category was really about like leveling up those other categories. So we would get points for meeting with a counselor and mentor, just someone else to like go back and forth with about our confidence or our like body image came up for each of us or different things like that that you just work through when you're dating.
Mhm.
And also getting points for working out. And then our very last category, we joked, we called it couch to marathon dating. And we needed help like literally getting off the couch. That's how the book starts, is how both of us are on the couch.
Yeah.
And we wanted to just build better habits as singles. And so, like, one month we tackled conversation starters. Another month we called learning to speak man. And we would do activities that, like, a lot of guys might be at. So, like, going to the golfing range and just literally going to physical places where guys would be. And just, we had so much fun with it.
I love it. So I guess even to flip that on the other side, guys, if you're listening, start showing up where the girls go. Like go
Right.
hang out at Target.
Right, exactly. I know. Check out the magnolia aisles at Target. There's
Yeah,
some
I
deals.
love it. Will you talk a little bit about like your health and fitness and this
Yeah,
weight loss journey, which is absolutely incredible. That's so hard, even
yeah,
outside of like a couch to marathon type setting,
right.
um, like where you have a really big end goal.
Yeah,
And then, like you had just mentioned, coupling in like the aspect of dating.
right,
And I didn't even think about that. Like psychologically, our emotions go through so much when we're in a process of getting to know new people and putting ourselves out
right.
there and asking all the questions.
Yeah,
Am I enough? Do I fit what they're looking for? Like all of these
right,
things. How was that process? Like was it hard showing up as you
right,
were? Was it hard all the time? Did you feel
right.
super confident?
Yes. Yeah. My sister and we both lost weight, and I lost definitely more and had more to lose as well. And for me, it went even beyond just like the weight loss part of it. For me, it was kind of like you just mentioned. There was a mindset shift along the way of like, how do I show up? I don't like I think up until that point, my mindset was like, when I lose weight, then I can be attractive enough to date.
Mm,
And I think during that dating competition, I really forced myself to work through that and let go of that and to say, there's, like even through that weight loss, the weight loss never made me, how do I say it? It never made me feel dateable. It was really like the energy that I was getting from working out,
mm,
the confidence that I was building, showing up really badly at the gym and just being consistent with my habits and then really forcing my mindset to flip the turntable. Like I feel like I listened to these records in my brain for so many years about like you're only good enough if you lose this weight or if you're
mm.
only attractive enough if you're a certain size. And so I worked to really like flip that switch and to say, no, I'm going to show up at every single size. Like when I'm thin, when I'm heavier, when I'm in the middle, when I'm curvier, when I'm stronger, like every single step along the way. I think that for me was a huge lesson in like dating at every size And I did experience some really awesome transformation physically, but I would say what I went through mentally was even more important and has helped me because throughout our lives, our body sizes always are changing. Our
Mhm.
physical appearances are constantly changing. And so for me, it was that mindset shift. It was huge.
I love that. That's so neat. Well, and even just having the comfort and the ability to meet with like a therapist or seek out a counselor in the
Right,
process. As humans, I feel like we all have different things that we battle. And unfortunately, females struggle a little bit more with
right,
the looks aspect of, is this assigning me value based off of
right.
how good I feel based off of my looks?
Yes.
And when you can shift that mindset, as what you said, we're
Yep,
always going to be changing, and
yep.
learning to, like, it's really about learning to love ourselves first, right? So that
Right,
we can
right,
show up and be our best versions.
right.
Because
Yep.
your sisters know how awesome you are. Your friends, we
Yeah,
know how awesome you are. And then
yeah,
showing the rest of the world is like showing up your best version is like,
totally.
and I think there's a huge difference of that. Like people can tell, right?
Yes, yes. It's
So,
so true. It's so true. And yeah, yeah, that confidence aspect is so important. And I think it's, yeah, I think that there is a big myth out there that maybe I think is changing these days, but a myth that you have to look or be a certain way. But really, I think yeah, the most attractive thing is the confidence
mhm.
and yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. I mean, even with the with the fashion of nowadays, I'm like, I would never wear that. But
Right,
people
right,
that have the confidence to like rock a certain style and like
right,
they just attract their people.
right, right.
So
That's
it's
so
so
true,
fun.
Wendy.
Okay, so I'm definitely not going to give away too much of the book. I know those that are tuning in, you guys just have to read it. As you had mentioned earlier in the podcast about different themes that you focused on, one that really stood out to me and that meant a lot was how you met with different couples during one of the
Yes.
sections. Um,
Yep.
can you share like any part of wisdom of what
Right.
you learned from meeting with them? Like what was impactful for you
Right.
that you're
Right.
like hanging on to close for your journey of marriage?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it was really a fun experience. One of our ways that one of our challenges that we did together one month was we called it couples therapy, and we each did it individually. I interviewed my own set of couples who I admired and looked up to, and my sister chose other married couples that she looked up to. But through those interviews, it was powerful. I had never really stopped to ask, um, really specific questions to friends and close family, just about their experience and about their expectations going into marriage and what they would have done differently if they could do dating all over again.
Mm,
And so for me some of those, to learn some of those things was huge. And I think, one of the questions that we asked every married couple, we asked 5 questions. One of the questions was, if you could go back in time and do your dating years all over again, what would you do differently? And what I found is that people, they would have had more confidence, they would have stayed friends, longer, maybe not gone so far physically with different people. They would have, they would have really taken advantage of like personal development and adventure and travel and fun. And the things that made them come alive as singles, because the reality is, even when you get married, you're still your own person, and so, and that's attractive when you're in a relationship to be to have those hobbies that are developed and things that just light up your own world. And so I think that that's one of my big takeaways was just continue to develop in singleness, things that make me come alive as a single and to not just keep waiting for life to begin. That was a huge message I think that I received.
that's so good. I love it. Even just as a single person, like we think about if we can create the life that we want now, why wouldn't we want to bring that into marriage? So,
Right.
so getting to live it up, like as you're
Right.
single, not waiting for stuff to happen. Like,
Right.
are you familiar with Annie Downs?
Yes. Yep.
So I heard a talk of hers years and years ago where she talked about putting off buying this Pottery Barn collection of a bedspread that she
Yes.
really wanted until she was married. And then
Yes.
when she turned 30, she was like, you know what? I'm not waiting for my other half or
Right.
my person or marriage or whatever she called it. But
Right.
she was like, I'm going to buy my own dang Pottery Barn
Yeah.
comforter.
Right. Yeah.
And and I think that's something that as we as single continue, we don't know what the next 6 months or the next year or even the next 5 years looks like.
Yeah.
But if there is a dream that you have on your heart, I just
Yeah.
think if your dream is to make it to Italy, like go on a
Right.
trip with your friends,
Right.
and just
Yeah.
to live life to the fullest now while we can.
Yes. Yep.
Because then you can pull it into marriage, but then you don't get to a place where, say, you do get married in the next little bit, like the next year or two, and you regret not getting to do things that you wished you had more freedom to do. So
Right. Totally.
the grass isn't always greener.
It's not always greener. And that was one of the questions too, was just asking couples, what were your expectations going into
Mm,
marriage? And was that a reality? And it was interesting just, I think that it is easy to have rose-colored glasses and but yeah, it's marriage can be fun, but also, singleness can be fun too.
yeah, yeah. So you did this whole challenge to get unstuck
Right.
in life and onto this new trajectory. Looking back, can you believe that you did all of that in just a short amount of time?
Oh my goodness. It's so good that I didn't know what I was getting into when I was getting into it because it did. I mean, it's an emotional roller coaster to put yourself out there and, like really to between the two of us going over 60 dates to meet, dozens more men outside of that. And it was like a really hard push towards, you know, improving confidence and self-love and having fun with dating. And I can't, yeah, it is amazing to look back and to see all that was accomplished in 6 months.
Absolutely. I mean, even the debt-free thing, I'm like, if
Right,
I could do a process and just
right.
that
Just
alone
map
is
it out.
amazing.
Right. Yes, I know. And I had crunched those numbers so many times. How long would it take me to get out of debt? And it always, no matter how hard I crunched those numbers and tighten up my budget, it was always going to take me years, really. And so the fact that I was like, I am done, I like really was like, I am done with this. I'm going to take 1 year, no matter what. And just to see the ways God showed up in that process when I was, sacrificing a lot, saying no to fun ski condos with friends and saying no to
Mm.
dinners out and bringing my own tea bag to Starbucks and like crazy things, just really wearing the clothes I had and you know after a
Wow.
year it made a difference. So
Wow, that's so amazing. Well, for someone who might be in a similar season as you were when you were talking about starting the challenge, what would you say to encourage them? Like whether or not they need to make changes in their dating life or they want to be more committed faith wise to get into God's word more. I know there's accountability there too. Uh,
right.
any words of encouragement?
Yeah, I would say this is my greatest takeaway from that year. My very greatest takeaway, and something I would encourage other people on their journeys too, is no matter what the goal is, whether it's finances or health or faith or love, to just, for me, I needed to learn how to show up badly and to let myself be a
Wow.
learner and to be bad at something for a while because we're not going to automatically show up as like this hot, confident person. We're not going to automatically show up as, like being able to overnight be able to afford a house or a new car or the things that we want in life. And so just for a while, just to show up badly and to give ourselves permission to do that. And so if I were to encourage someone else who wanted to make some really big changes in their life to just every day you're not going to be doing it perfectly, and none of us are, but just to keep showing up really badly every day until those habits, you wake up one day and you're like, I'm a different person. And it's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great advice. Even
And
if you don't feel stuck, like the
sure.
idea of just being okay to show up badly, like
Right.
I just think about, like, I was thinking about playing the piano recently. I grew up
Yes.
playing the piano. I walked away from it in high school because I was too cool for playing the piano.
Right.
And now, as an adult, I'm like, why did I ever give that up? I would love to play the piano.
Yeah.
And yet I know I'm going to be terrible. So it's
Right.
kind of like, I just need to start again.
Right. Yes. And it's, yeah, and it doesn't feel as fun to be so terrible, but I know. And I felt that way when I had started going back to the gym during that year. And the first time I showed up and was like on that treadmill and or elliptical machine, and it was like 17 minutes. That's all I had in me, Wendy. But I
Mm.
every single week just kept showing up really badly, out of breath, like really, like I didn't have cute workout clothes. I didn't have any of that. And for a year, I worked on that every single week, just showing up badly. And it was amazing by the end, the miles that I could run and the things that I could lift. And it was just because for a really long time I showed up badly. That's kind of
Amen.
the
Amen.
motto of that year.
Amen. That's so
Just
good. Scripturally speaking, you know, there's that advice of like, do not despise small beginnings. And
right.
it's kind of
Yes.
like, if we want to get to the end of the road, or we want to finish the race well, we have to start.
Right. Right.
So,
Isn't that true? Yeah.
well, I think about listeners that are thinking like, there's no way I'm doing that. Or I wish I had the confidence to do something like that. My
Yeah.
encouragement to you guys is, why can't you? Why don't you?
Right.
The real question is, Jen, we all want to know if you're doing a dating challenge, like a group challenge, because we want to
Oh, yeah.
participate.
Yes, I know. I've thought of that. Like, oh my gosh, what if we got a group together? And yeah, it was so powerful. And the most powerful part, I'm glad you said that too, because I would have never in a million years accomplished what I accomplished if I had done that challenge myself. And so, not even like, it's maybe not even important to compete against someone else as much as it was that weekly, every single Sunday, my sister and I were on Zoom together. The accountability that came from it.
Mm.
And singleness is such a solo, I mean, it really is a solo journey, like dating and all of that. It's solo habits. And so it was so instrumental and so powerful to be meeting on a weekly basis with my sister and just talking through our successes and our failures and our goals.
Yeah.
So
Even just going on beyond that, I bet 10 years ago, you never thought you would have written a book. So
right.
that in and of itself is a total challenge,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yep. It's so true. So
many
yeah.
kudos to you.
Thanks, Wendy.
Well,
Um,
in regards to bigger life and life direction,
yeah.
what are some things that you are looking forward to?
So, a few things I'm looking forward to. I'm kind of a goal person. And so I always like to have different categories of life that I'm working on. And so I think for this year, yeah, I'm just focusing a lot on creativity and I love kids. And so I'm really involved with just teens and kind of helping them succeed. And those are kind of a couple of my, I guess, next goals that I'm working on.
I love it. And for somebody that might be listening and that's just thinking for bigger life direction and calling, maybe a dating challenge isn't around the corner for them, but how would you encourage somebody just to confront like where they're at and not give up
Right.
on the dreams that God has given them?
Yeah, I would say like find other dreamers. Like for me, that's been so huge. And because there's other people out there who have big goals and who like to talk about them. So I have a couple friends who we talk goals every once in a while and get together. And so I think if someone has big dreams, they should share them with other people. I think that that's how like iron sharpens iron. And I think that that's a great place to start. And whether someone starts a dating challenge or not, I would say if someone wants to make change, for me, it was just taking action, to stop waiting and trusting and praying. There are ingredients to the picture, to the bigger picture, but there's action as part of the recipe as well.
Mm.
And so that would be my other encouragement. If someone's got big dreams, to not leave out the action
Wow.
step.
1,000%. That's so good. Thanks, Jen. All right. Last but not least, as this is a podcast about transitions,
Yes, yes.
what place would you say you're in between? And then how can we
Right.
pray for you?
Thanks, Wendy. I am in between this. I think with launching this book, like becoming an author I love to write. This has been a dream for a long time. This has been a book with a big message for me. And so I think the place that I'm in between right now is that transition of launching this story into the world and giving its own wings to kind of take flight and hopefully impact other people to live with purpose on their singleness journeys. And so that's kind of the place I'm between, is just becoming an author and walking into this new goal and dream of helping other people.
I love it. Well, we'll definitely be praying for the success of your book, and just want to congratulate you again. And thanks for spending time with us. And listeners, you heard it from Jen. I just want to encourage you to get a copy for yourself, or even considering Valentine's is coming up. There's a
Yeah.
great gift for all those Galentines.
Yes. Oh my gosh, it would be.
It'd be so great. Well, Jen, it was so great to hear some stories from you and just your wisdom, and just want to say thanks again. So,
Thanks, Wendy. Thanks for all you do and for having me today.
absolutely. All right, listeners, thanks for joining us. We will catch you again next week on The Places Between. Have a good one.